Hello, those of you who are absent from class on Thursday. In class, we're going to begin class by going back to the soapstone template, and we're going to use it to create a soapstone statement for Langston Hughes' Salvation, which was your reading assignment from last night. So as a reminder, with the soapstone, we choose the date of publication and the title of publication, as well as the genre. Date, genre, title of publication. So one of the things you don't find out by looking at the words in italics on page 185, the preliminary information about the essay, is when Langston Hughes published Salvation and in what form it was originally published in. So you'll have to do some background research for that in order to fill in this template. So when you find the year and the original genre of this essay, you'll fill it in right here in his date, genre, title of the essay, Salvation. We come up with Langston Hughes. You could say Harlem Renaissance writer Langston Hughes. You could say author, artist, and poet Langston Hughes. All of those things would be accurate for him. And then here, uses or employs, and remember, now we're going with the three major rhetorical strategies that you see him using. So in class, we're going to have a really deep discussion, I'm hoping, about what are the strategies that Langston Hughes uses in Salvation. So obviously, one of the things that I'm going to talk about with the class tomorrow is the fact that the entire essay, we're going to go with essay right now until you know what the genre is. The entire essay is essentially anecdotal evidence. It is an anecdote from Langston Hughes' life. So you could put uses an anecdote from his life, and then what are two other things that he uses to kind of present his idea. So look through and find two of those rhetorical strategies that might work. Now, this is an essay, unlike Is Google Making Us Stupid, that appeals more to pathos than it does to making an appeal to logos. So chances are all the stuff we talked about with evidence will not apply to salvation. So instead, and I'll go to it in a second, we're going to look at the possibilities of things that appeal to pathos and see if we can find those in there and we think that they might apply to the author's purpose. So, three rhetorical strategies. Two, then we're going to discuss inform or persuade or entertain. Now, I don't think this is written just for entertainment value. So even though it's a story and it is entertaining, that's not its preliminary purpose. So we're going to talk tomorrow about what the informing is and what could be persuading. So we'll say, go with inform, and then we go his audience of. Now, who is the original intended audience? Who is he? Is he trying to convince a certain group of people of something? Is he trying to make them see something specific? So I'm going to try to get the class to kind of work towards that. What is the persuasion involved behind here? About, and I think we put in the subject matter right here. So the concept of believing in religion is probably the best way we can kind of talk about the subject matter of this. In order to, what does he want us to do, think, believe, change, act on, etc. with this essay, Salvation? Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. Then we're going to go to this slide here, as in the middle of all that, and we're going to talk about the appeals to pathos. So we're going to pick out some things to help us fill in that from this slide, appeals to pathos that might occur within this book or in this essay. So we'll talk about whether there's imagery here, descriptive imagery, and how that helps get his point across. We'll talk about if there is any kind of connotative diction and how that connotative diction might get his ideas out, his potential repetition. We'll talk about all sorts of things that we see within Salvation, and then I'll have the class choose like the ones that they think are the most effective or used most frequently within that essay, besides a personal anecdote. All right. And then we're going to go forward and we're going to talk about the big three questions. And this is all in conjunction with what we're talking about with salvation. So, in a particular section of the essay, what is the author trying to convince us of? So, what is Langston Hughes trying to convince us of regarding religion and religion's role in people's lives? And then I'm going to ask the class to kind of present a bunch of different concepts about that. What strategies is he using to do that? And then we're going to talk about why are those strategies effective. When you're writing a rhetorical analysis paper, each paragraph basically of the paper is what is the author trying to convince me of, or what is the purpose of this particular section of the reading? What is the strategy that the author uses in order to do that, and why is that strategy effective for the audience? So if we think that the original audience of this work are people who are religious and believe strongly in religion and the power of religion in our lives, now we have to think, how is he trying to convince, or how is he going to try to convince those people that maybe it's okay not to be religious, or okay not to believe, or maybe that the idea or perception of religion itself sets up unrealistic ideas in our lives? Maybe. How does he do that? And why does that particular choice make it effective? Okay. When we're done with that, we're going to have our first graded discussion with Langston Hughes' Salvation. And what that means is, and in the middle of all of this, we're going to get together in a circle instead of sitting in our normal seats in the class. And I'm going to ask questions, and people are going to answer those questions. I'm going to be counting the number of times that they participate and the quality of their participation. And that will eventually be a grade. This time, it's going to be a practice grade, meaning that's going to show up in like the practice category, the smallest category in the grade book, not the 0% category. But as we get further and further into the semester, graded discussions are going to be in larger categories so that we all start to share our ideas a little bit more about rhetorical analysis and arguments and things like that. Okay. Friday in class, and to get kids prepared for Friday, I'm going to tell them to go into their politicians' emails and that they're going to have to make sure that they have the major parts of the emails. So they should have in their emails a purpose statement and a timing statement. They should have information about the stance and the position of the politician that they've chosen. Now, what they haven't done yet, or what you might have done, is supply evidence that supports your position. So I'm going to ask people tomorrow for homework to look for evidence that supports your position. Historical evidence, scientific evidence, or personal anecdotal evidence, And then also to think about how you're using language to appeal to pathos, because beyond appealing to logos, we also want to appeal to pathos. All right. Tomorrow in class, we'll be talking about the emails more in general, and you will be submitting at the end of class tomorrow your rough draft for that email. I'll be putting some comments on that rough draft, and then you'll have a final copy that'll be due in a week. Over the weekend, I'll be doing the comments, and I'll walk people through tomorrow or Friday how to submit via Schoology. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great time at Pride Camp and teach those freshmen how to be great warriors.